You're tuned into the first newscast devoted to the Highland Lakes area. Local team coverage on Tribune Headline News, bringing you the stories you care about now. Hi everyone, I'm Connie Swinney with your headlines. Here's a look at what's coming up. Fire crews race to a blaze in Cottonwood Shores. We have images of the damage. Thieves strike at two businesses and a school in Marble Falls. Police track down suspects and recover cash and property tied not only to the local cases, but to other cities. Also, how about a sandy oasis right here in Marble Falls? Parks and Recreation officials unveil a proposed location and amenities for a sandy beach project.
We'll be catching some sun for the rest of the week. Your forecast waiting on deck.
Thanks, everyone. We certainly look forward to that report. Along with your forecast, we have a local sports report on Marble Falls track and more. This is Tribune Headline News. Stay with us.
We are established. We are qualified. We are certified. We are knowledgeable. We are dependable. We are Ken's Heating and Air. Our people make the difference.
Welcome back. We have another fire in Cottonwood Shores to tell you about. This one is the second in 2 weeks in Cottonwood Shores and just 2 doors down from the first one. When we arrived on the scene, you could see flames shooting out of this mobile home on Westwood Street around 1:30 on Tuesday afternoon. At least one person inside was able to get out before fire crews arrived. Investigators say the man heard a pop in the area of the breaker box right before the fire erupted. This house is almost next door to a second home, which was fully destroyed in a blaze April 23rd. That wood-framed home was supposed to be unoccupied. However, neighbors reported they had seen people coming and going from the residence. Officials say both fires are under investigation. We'll keep you posted. In our next headline, authorities capture suspects connected to 3 burglaries in Marble Falls. Police say thieves targeted 2 businesses and a school sometime overnight, April 29th to the 30th. The largest burglary involved Ace Hardware at the intersection of Avenue N and 9th Street. Thieves who broke in on the east side of the building made off with a safe, 2 chainsaws, and various tools from the location. The safe, worth about $800, the rest of the items in cash valued at about $1,200. The safe, which the thieves could not open, was eventually recovered, as well as some of the cash. The second location involves Storm's Drive-Thru, a fast food burger joint on 1431. The building is located right next door to the hardware store. Police say thieves broke in through a back door and stole an undisclosed amount of cash. Finally, the suspects bashed in a window leading to a hallway at Marble Falls Middle School in the west side of the building. Once inside, they stole cash, a camera, and a video game player. By Saturday afternoon, Marble Falls police acted on a tip from Johnson City Police connected to the alleged suspect's vehicle. They arrested 19-year-old Kashadrick Cole and 25-year-old Gregory DeLoach on 3 counts of burglary at an apartment complex on 9th Street. They remain in the Burnett County Jail on $45,000 bond each.
The Llano High School baseball team qualified for the Class 3A playoffs. We're going to tell you how, coming up in sports.
More news and special guest for our weather forecast coming up. We're back. We'd like to now welcome our special guest for our weather segment. The Cubs T-ball team from Marble Falls is here in the studio. The Picayune proudly sponsors this team. Here they are with our weather forecast.
Hello, I'm Jeremy. We're the Cubs T-ball team sponsored by the Picayune. It looks like we got great weather for our team to play this week. Here's your Highland Lakes forecast for Northland Cable 15 and the Picayune TV. Wednesday, sunny with a high near 80, southeast wind between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Wednesday night, increasing clouds, low around 51. South-southeast wind around 5 miles per hour. Thursday, mostly sunny with a high near 82. South wind between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Thursday night, partly cloudy with low around 61. South-southeast wind around 5 miles per hour. Friday, mostly sunny with a high near 86. South wind between 5 and 10 miles per hour. We look forward to Fridays because that's our next game. Come see the Cubs play at 6 o'clock at the Rotary Field. That's your forecast for Northland Cable 15 and the Picayune TV.
Back to you, Connie.
Back to you, Connie. Back to you, Connie.
And thank you all for that report. Good luck in your game on Friday. Now Jennifer Fierro joins us with a look at sports.
The Llano High School baseball team avoided what could have been one of the worst collapses in the history of the program. Entering the play-in game against Liberty Hill at Marble Falls on Saturday, the Yellow Jackets were facing the possibility of ending the season on a 5-game losing streak. Rather, they put their hopes on the arm of senior pitcher Dallas Redden, who was making his 3rd appearance after a shoulder injury forced him to miss the majority of the season. Redden did not disappoint, striking out 8 batters in 5 innings, giving up only 3 hits and 2 runs. Afterwards, we had a chance to talk to head coach Brad Harmon about the 9-2 victory, where the Yellow Jackets scored 3 runs in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings. And then, of course, we caught up with Dallas. Here's what they had to say.
We don't make anything easy on ourselves. I told the guys this week, I don't remember a lot of the speeches I gave after games this year, but I remember the Brownwood speech. Very first game of the year, we came from behind, and I just said, I don't know if I can take games like this all year long, and that's what we've had, you know. We finally waited till it was do or die to get out here and put a complete game together. And, you know, a lot of people are going to talk about Dallas and his performance, and it was good. It was, but we made plays behind him, and the most impressive thing today is we got in some jams and got out of them. And that's what we haven't been doing. We've been giving up the big inning, and we didn't do that today. And then after the first time through the lineup, I thought our guys did a tremendous job adjusting and hitting the ball hard.
I've been pitching for a long time. I mean, you can't get weaker or everything's going to fall apart. So I guess, you know, as a competitor, you just get stronger as you go, and you want to do as good as you can.
The University Interscholastic League sponsored its regional meets on Monday, and that meant several Mustangs went down to San Antonio for their chance to try to get to the state meet. Unfortunately for Marble Falls, none of the field event athletes were able to get to the top 2 in those events. The best finisher, Cyril Lemon, 4th place in the shot put with a heave of 55 feet 4 inches. Senior Austin Sparks performed well in the discus, but not well enough to move on to the finals. Sophomore Ray Beltazar threw around his average in the shot put, right around 44 feet. Junior Priscilla Martinez was done after 5 feet in the high jump. Then, of course, Cody Schultz was making his first appearance at the regional meet, but he scratched all 3 of his attempts in the long jump. Senior Shiloh Rivera failed to get past 12 feet on the pole vault. And that means now that the Mustangs have finished off their season. So congratulations to them on getting out of a tough District 25 4A. That's it for sports. I'm Jennifer Fierro. Connie, back to you.
Jennifer, thanks. In our next headline, a sandy beach project takes shape in Marble Falls. This is the proposed location for a new recreation area in the southern edge of Johnson Park on Backbone Creek. The location is just off the shore of a bend on the creek which flows into Lake Marble Falls. The Parks and Recreation Committee unveiled the design plans for that area, and it's being called the SANDBOX Project. It's actually set back a few yards from the water to avoid liability issues as well as potential dangers associated with boat traffic. Officials believe some taxpayer money may be needed to develop the project, but the hope is to find money through community fundraising.
It appeals to a lot more of the tourists and residents of Marble Falls that don't have boats or don't have golf clubs. I think it's another draw to our community.
Commissioners hope to have the proposal and a possible contractor finalized in a couple of weeks for the SANDBOX project. Those were your headlines. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. Coming up next, our candidates forums. This time, those running for the Burnett School Board. For the Picayune TV, I'm Connie Swinney.
Because experience matters. For home, auto, business, health, and life, we are here for you. When Galloway experts make top providers compete for your business, you win. The Galloway Insurance Team, since 1935. Burnett, Horseshoe Bay, and Marble Falls.
Today we're in beautiful downtown Burnett at the Hill Country Community Foundation building. We're going to be taking a look at the Burnett Consolidated Independent School District races, putting the hard questions to the candidates. Stay with us. Welcome back. Today on Tribune Talk with Thomas Edwards, we're taking a look at the Burdick Consolidated Independent School District races. I'd like to introduce our panel of guest candidates for the school board. First, we'll start with place 3, Kay Behrens, Martin Riley, and then for place 7, incumbent Steve Salinas and Jim Luther, his opponent. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
The format is we give our candidates 3 questions. They have a minute each to answer the question, and then comes the fun part, the wild card question, which is completely off the cuff. Let's start with our first question, and we're going to direct it to Ms. Behrens. The question is, would you support a property tax increase if state aid fails to fund the district to an adequate level? Ms. Behrens.
That's a really hard question because it would affect me as a property owner as well as everybody else. But I think, first of all, the district should not just, the board should not just jump off and propose that. They should do everything else they can. And then if we did everything and couldn't balance the budget, I'm not saying I would be against it, but if that's the only option, I think at this point, the best thing to do would just keep contacting our legislatures and telling them that they need to figure out how to support the kids of Texas with the education that they deserve.
Thank you very much, Ms. Behrens, for that response. Mr. Riley, it's your turn, sir.
I could say yes and just walk out the door because I probably wouldn't get elected. But along with Kay, I think that until the state budget is set, that all of that's speculation. Not to say that, you know, the best thing would be for our state legislatures to be able to balance the budget without us having to do that. But with that being said, that is something that has to be revisited by the Board of Trustees on a regular basis to justify whether or not that is something that needs to be done.
Very good answer. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to direct the question to incumbent Steve Salinas, who is running for place 7. Mr. Salinas?
Thank you. That's a very difficult question to answer, especially in light of the budget process. I mean, we can be anywhere from $1 million to $3 million off. As you know, the Senate and the House budgets are $4 billion apart from each other, but they do have one thing in common, and they're both cutting budgets for schools. The thing that we have been doing on the board is looking readily into cuts that we can make that don't affect the kids. I mean, first and foremost, we have to make the priorities the kids. We've gone through attrition with some of our folks as they retire and, you know, consolidated classes, but we're trying to keep our system whole and provide the best we can for the kids. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, and I'm not saying I'm for it, but we're going to make all efficiencies, look at the district as a whole to see what we can cut before we would even go to the public with the tax ratification election.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. And Ms. Jim Luther, that question goes to you too, sir.
Thank you. I also think that that's a tough question. It's a tough situation that the board is going to have to address. My first answer would be I would be opposed to it until all other avenues of budgets have been looked at. I don't think that that is something that we want to approach right now, but it may be something we have to look at in the long term.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Luther. Now we have another question. This is one of my favorites. I'll be interested to hear their answers to this one. Candidates, do you believe the curriculum strategy known as C-Scope is good or bad for the district? And Ms. Behrens, again, the question goes to you first.
I think that C-Scope is the way that the district needs to go because it's the curriculum that the STARS test is based on, so we need to align ourselves with that curriculum. Even though I know change is really, really hard, it was really, really hard several years ago when the district aligned themselves with the area schools and started the Hill Country Curriculum Consortium. And they did well at that, and that was a good curriculum, and it's done well for the district, but that doesn't mean that's where we need to stay. We need to advance, because if you advance, in order to advance, you have to change and improve, and I think the way to do that is with the C-Scope curriculum.
Well, thank you very much. And Mr. Martin Riley, who's also running for place 3, your turn, sir.
As far as C-Scope is concerned, I don't see that there's a problem necessarily with the curriculum. Again, it is something that state mandated testing as far as STARS goes lines up with that so that our students are successful in the STARS testing. The way that the curriculum is put together has been in question of whether or not you follow the C-Scope curriculum to a T, or do you allow your teachers to use their own imagination and their own teaching skills along with the C-Scope curriculum to make it successful. Are we only concerned with our children's STAR testing, or are we concerned with their education as a whole? Do we want to completely tie our teachers' hands behind our back, or do we give them some leeway in the classroom to be able to implement C-Scope to the best that it can be implemented?
Well, thank you very much. The question now goes to Mr. Steve Salinas.
Yeah, and this is another question. I mean, I know it's been highly publicized. C-Scope is a viable and supported curriculum. It's used by 19 of the regions and over 1,200 districts within the state of Texas. I don't believe C-Scope is a one-size-fits-all, though. I think it's best left up to the professional judgment of the teachers. C-Scope provides a framework which allows the teachers to add or remove components as they see fit to meet the instructional needs of their kids. And they're going to be our best judgment. Or they have kids that are not on equal playing fields. And what C-Scope allows us to do is compete on that playing field for what's being learned across the state of Texas by other districts. So it evens out the playing field. And I believe that we're preparing our kids to meet the educational challenges of the future, and we've got amazing staff that provides that, and they will succeed in success of our kids.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Also, Mr. Luther, your response, please, sir.
I don't think C-Scope is a bad curriculum. I think there's a lot of good aspects with the curriculum. I do think that the teachers need to have more of an input on how the curriculum is taught in the classroom and have the leeway to teach other things with the curriculum. C-Scope, from what I've heard, is an okay curriculum, but teachers' hands are kind of tied, from what I hear, on teaching anything else but the curriculum.
Good. Well, thank you very much for your response. And now to our third question for the candidates. What, if anything, can be done to reduce time and money spent on the transportation of students? Ms. Behrens, please.
I know the district has already been very proactive in making changes to routes and trying to have buses get to schools later so they're not sitting there idling as long. So they've already been very proactive. With the big geographical area of our district that covers parts of 3 counties and the rising fuel costs, it's going to be hard to manage. I think that it's an ongoing process where the district needs to keep looking at the routes and student ridership and make sure that they make changes as necessary and appropriate on those routes. I also feel like that the only place to really cut is extracurricular, if it comes to that. And so the administration on the campuses would have to look at those trips and see if they're really necessary and trips that have absolutely be taken.
Well, thank you very much. And now the same question goes to our other Place 3 candidate, Mr. Martin Riley.
As the school district looks at trying to cut budgets, again, we don't know what to do until the state sets its budget. As far as consolidating bus routes, something that would have to be looked at very seriously, and I know they already are. How long do you want kids to be on the bus? How many routes could be consolidated? Those kinds of things to be able to reduce some routes. Hard questions, for sure. As far as the extracurricular, this is a 2-part question because it has to do with extracurricular activities too. I am a big advocate of extracurricular activities within our schools. I think that it develops well-rounded kids with good social skills and teaches them a lot of things that they can't learn in the classroom through extracurricular activities. It's something that is a very important issue that has to be visited by the Board of Trustees for sure.
Well, thank you very much. Mr. Salinas, for Place 7, the incumbent, what's your response to that question, sir?
Transportation has been one of the biggest costs in BCISD for years. What makes it difficult, we transport over 2,000 kids a day. I mean, that's over 2/3 of our students that we have. And we're covering an area of 703 square miles. And we travel close to 1 million miles a year, which makes it difficult. I mean, it's a never-ending target. Fuel prices, last year we budgeted at a rate of 2.25 a gallon, 2.25 a gallon. Now we're looking at excess of 3.50. I mean, that's adding another $300,000 to our budget. We're being as efficient as we possible with the routes, and we're actually looking at even consolidating routes maybe to make centralized stops. We're buying buses that are fuel efficient, that conform to state standards. It's definitely a moving target, but I think the district is, weekly looking at efficiencies in bus routes, and will continue to do so.
Well, thank you very much. And the question also goes to our other Place 7 candidate, Mr. Jim Luther.
That's also a problem that I think everybody's facing. We can look at consolidating the routes, look at the idle time policy, and those sort of things. But the bottom line is we've got to get the kids to school. If they're not at school, then we don't have school. I think the extracurricular activities, that's not a place that I would look at cutting either. It is my hope that the state of Texas legislature comes to an agreement and solves this problem for us somewhat.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Luther. Our candidates have given us some very excellent considered responses to these questions. Now we come to a segment that we like to call the wild card question. This is a question they have not been prepped for. It arises from reader and viewership participations and even some bull sessions back in the newsroom. We're going to see how our candidates think on their feet with this one. Candidates, what would you do to give rank and file BCISD employees more of a voice? We'll start with Ms. Behrens.
Well, I feel like that they already have somewhat of a voice, but I think that the principals on the campuses need to know for sure that they need to listen to their staff, and that, just because they're in charge and they are the principal doesn't mean what they say necessarily goes, that they can be questioned and, in a respectful way. They can be questioned, but they also, teachers are teaching the kids, so they have good ideas, so they need to be receptive to those ideas.
Thank you very much. And the other Place 3 candidate, Mr. Martin Riley, how do you respond, sir?
Oh, I think it's very important that the voice of the faculty and the rank and file, as you put it, is heard. It is kind of a general consensus from some of the faculty that I've spoken to is that they don't feel like their voices are heard, not only within the administration, but within the Board of Trustees itself. And I think there needs to be some transparency among the administration and the Board of Trustees, and have avenues for the faculty to go to voice their concerns, a place in a forum where they are actually heard and taken into consideration.
Thank you very much. Place 7 incumbent, Mr. Steve Salinas, your response, sir?
Yeah, teachers are front lines to the kids. I mean, they are doctors, they're counselors, they're mothers, they're disciplinarians. I mean, they know what's going on. If there is a problem that arises, it's going to come from the teachers. And they're going to be the first ones to address it. Our administration needs to listen to our teachers. It's vital that we listen to them, because those problems are going to be the ones that help make the district a better place to be. It's simply stated, I mean, the teachers are a lifeblood of this district, and they have to have a voice. Even if it's a bad idea or a good idea, it's going to lend information to our administrators. Hey, we've got something coming up, we need to address it, and we need to fix it.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Jim Luther, sir.
I also think that the teachers in the trenches are the ones that are doing the work. I think that there needs to be an avenue that they can be heard, they can voice their concerns without any fear of repercussions because they spoke their mind. A lot of what they have to say is beneficial to our students. The concerns that they have or concerns that have to do with the education and how they're taught. I would always have an open mind and be willing to talk to any one of them. I think they need to have an avenue to get to us and to talk with their principals and administration.
Thank you very much. This has been Tribune Talk with Thomas Edwards, the Candidates Forum. Today we've looked at the race for the Burnet Consolidated Independent School District. We've had a wonderful panel. I'd like to thank our guests, including Place 3 candidates Kay Behrens and also Mr. Martin Riley, the Place 7 candidates, including incumbent Steve Salinas and Mr. Jim Luther. I'd like to remind our viewers that they can catch this show on www.thepicayunetv.com, as well as on Northland Communications Cable Channel 15. It's a great show. We appreciate you being here. We want you to go out and vote May 14th. Exercise your right. Panelists, thank you very much. Have a great day, viewers. Thank you very much.